Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say may feel like an attack, but it's the greatest truth you'll ever hear. There's a version of you that must die. Not someday, not when it's convenient. Now, because if that old version of you doesn't die, it will kill everything you're meant to become. That version, the one addicted to comfort, excuses, hesitation, distraction. He's not your friend. He's your captor. He's the one whispering. You've done enough today. He's the one scrolling while your purpose waits. He's the one pretending that survival is success. And every day you let him live, your potential dies a little more. But here's the good news, that death, that ending, is the beginning of everything real. Because when you stop protecting your weakness, your strength finally has room to grow. When you stop negotiating with your limits, your greatness starts to breathe. And when you stop being loyal to who you were, you make space for who you were meant to be. This isn't about motivation. This is about evolution, a war between your comfort and your calling. And today, that war ends. Because starting right now, you will no longer live as the echo of your past. You will rise as the architect of your future. This is not a speech. This is your awakening. Welcome to the death of the old you and the birth of the man who finally decides to rise. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not in the world around you. It's inside you. It's the quiet war between who you were and who you're becoming. Every morning, the fight begins again. The voice of the old you whispers, "Take it easy. You've done enough." The voice of your higher self responds, "Not yet. You're not finished." And between those two voices lies your destiny. This is the war within the invisible arena, where your comfort wrestles your calling and your fear tries to suffocate your faith. It's not a war fought with weapons, but with decisions. Every choice, every thought, every action either feeds your weakness or strengthens your will. There is no neutral ground. You see, most people lose this battle long before they even realize they're in it. They mistake peace for comfort and confusion for rest. They think they're staying safe, but they're really staying small. They call it patience, but it's really procrastination in disguise. And while they wait for the perfect time, life moves on without them. The truth is brutal but simple. The war within is not won by motivation. It's won by mastery. You cannot wait to feel ready. You must act to become ready, because feelings follow movement, not the other way around. The old version of you is clever. He knows your fears. He knows your patterns. He knows exactly which excuses to whisper when things get hard. He will tell you that it's okay to slow down, that you've already worked enough, that nobody will notice if you skip the hard thing today. But here's the thing you will notice. Your soul will notice, and every time you surrender, you train yourself to tolerate less than your potential. That is how men decay, not through sudden failure, but through slow permission. Permission to be average. Permission to be tired. Permission to stop before they win. But you are not here to be average. You are here to evolve, to rise above the noise of your limitations, to look that weaker version of yourself in the eye and say, "You don't lead anymore." Growth demands violence, not toward others, but toward your own comfort. You must be ruthless with your excuses. You must attack every hesitation with action. You must choose discipline over emotion until discipline becomes emotion, Because the truth is this: the old you cannot survive the habits of the new you. He breathes laziness. The new you breathes purpose. He seeks distraction. The new you seeks discipline. He chases comfort. The new you chases clarity. This war isn't about perfection. It's about direction. Every day you choose which side you're feeding. You either reinforce your fear or your faith. You either repeat your past or rise into your potential. And yes, it will hurt. It will feel like tearing your own skin off because you are shedding the identity that was never built for greatness. That pain you feel, it's not punishment, it's transformation. So when that old voice tells you to stop, don't negotiate, don't justify, don't hesitate, move. Because every step forward is a bullet in the heart of the man you used to be. The war within doesn't end in a single victory. It ends when the old you stops fighting because he's gone. Because you buried him under discipline, under focus, under relentless action. And from that burial, the real you begins to rise. Comfort feels safe. It whispers promises of peace, of rest, of you've earned this. But comfort is a liar, because while it calms your nerves, it quietly kills your potential. The greatest danger you'll ever face isn't failure. It's comfort that feels harmless. It's the slow decay of ambition. It's the voice that says, "You're fine where you are. Let me tell you a truth that most will never face. Staying the same costs more than change ever will. Change will cost you pain, effort, discomfort. But staying the same will cost you your purpose, your power, your peace." You see, mediocrity doesn't come as a sudden storm. It creeps in like a fog, silently, invisibly, day by day. One missed commitment, one delayed dream, one lowered standard. And before you know it, you've built a life that's comfortable but hollow. You stop challenging yourself. You stop dreaming with intensity. You stop believing that greatness still lives inside you. And the worst part, you call it maturity, but it's not maturity. It's surrender dressed in wisdom's clothing. Comfort is seductive because it doesn't feel like failure. It feels peaceful, familiar, predictable. But peace without progress is spiritual death. You can't claim to be alive if your spirit has stopped expanding. Look at your life for a moment. Where have you accepted good enough? Where have you let your old habits anchor you to a lesser version of yourself? Every area you tolerate stagnation in will eventually turn into regret. You may not feel it today, but one day you'll wake up and realize you traded your future for an illusion of safety. You'll realize you built walls around your comfort and called it peace when it was really a prison. And prisons don't look dangerous until you try to leave them. That's when you'll feel the resistance. That's when fear will whisper, "It's better to stay." That's when your old self will fight hardest to survive. Because the old version of you, the one built on distraction, laziness, and self-doubt, he doesn't fear failure. He fears extinction. And every time you move toward your next level, he feels himself dying. So he'll fight back. He'll justify comfort. He'll romanticize the past. He'll tell you that ambition is arrogance, that growth is greed, that purpose can wait. And if you listen, you'll lose years. But if you resist, if you push, you'll find that everything you thought was keeping you safe was actually keeping you small. Because comfort doesn't protect you. It sedates you. It numbs the hunger that was meant to drive your destiny. And the longer you stay in that state, the harder it becomes to wake up. Growth requires discomfort for a reason. The pain of effort keeps you alive. The tension between where you are and where you want to be is the pulse of evolution. So when you feel resistance, don't retreat. Rejoice. It means you're still growing. It means your potential hasn't given up on you. It means your old self is losing power. Comfort may promise you rest, but it will never deliver fulfillment. And comfort's final price is regret, a regret that compounds over time until it crushes your spirit under the weight of what could have been. So the next time comfort calls your name, remember every later is a lie. Every I'll start tomorrow is a burial of your potential. And every moment you delay your evolution, the old you wins another day. Stop paying that price. Stop calling stagnation peace. Stop mistaking safety for life. Because comfort won't just keep you the same, it will make sure you never become more. There comes a moment in every person's life when you realize this truth: you can't step into the future while clinging to the corpse of your past. And that's when the funeral begins. Not for someone else, but for the old version of you. The man who settled for almost, the one who survived on excuses, the one who waited for permission to be great. He has to die, not out of hate, but out of necessity, because that version of you cannot walk where you're going. He was built for survival, not success. He was shaped by fear, not purpose. He was loyal to comfort, not conviction. And if you carry him into your new life, he will sabotage everything you're trying to build. So you bury him, you bury his habits, the ones that steal your mornings. You bury his distractions, the ones that numb your ambition. You bury his doubts, the ones that whisper. You're not ready. This is not an emotional metaphor. It's a spiritual act. Every time you wake up and choose discipline over delay, you dig another inch into his grave. Every time you move forward without approval, you throw another handful of dirt on his coffin. This is what real transformation feels like: grieving who you used to be while celebrating who you're becoming. It's messy. It's painful. It's lonely, because no one throws you a funeral for your old self. You have to conduct it yourself. And make no mistake, he will fight back. He will beg for your attention. He will seduce you with old comforts, familiar routines, and false nostalgia. He will say things like, remember when things were easier, but don't listen. Easier is where dreams go to die. Let the old you scream. Let him claw and resist, because his pain is proof that you're winning. The louder he cries, the closer you are to freedom. And one day, if you stay consistent, his voice will fade. You'll stop hearing his excuses. You'll stop craving his habits. You'll stop identifying with his fears. And in that silence, you'll feel something extraordinary: space. Space for new beliefs. Space for higher standards. Space for your true identity, to emerge, the one that was always buried under your past conditioning. This is not reinvention. This is resurrection. You're not becoming someone new. You're uncovering the version of yourself that was buried under years of compromise. So when you feel the pull of your old ways, remember this: you already had his funeral. Don't dig him back up, because the new you deserves to breathe without the weight of who you were. And that can only happen when you stop trying to fix the old self and start replacing him with action, intention, and purpose. Transformation doesn't happen when you add more. It happens when you subtract what no longer belongs. When you stop decorating your prison and start building your freedom. So today, hold your own ceremony. Close your eyes and say goodbye to the man who settled, to the version who apologized for his potential, to the identity that confused comfort with peace. Thank him for getting you this far, and then let him go. Because the next chapter of your life cannot begin until you bury the man who is afraid to live it. Every transformation begins in the same place, not in your body, not in your bank account, but in your mind, because before you can change your life, you must first change the way you think about life. The truth is, your old self wasn't just built from habits. He was programmed by fear, by environment, by repetition. Every doubt you carry, every limitation you believe, every excuse you defend. It didn't start with you. It started with conditioning. You learned to play small because someone told you success was dangerous. You learned to stay quiet because the world punished confidence. You learned to seek comfort because struggle was labeled suffering. And over time, those lessons became your operating system, running silently in the background, shaping every decision, every reaction, every dream. That's why most people never evolve. They try to change their results without changing their code. They chase new goals while using the same beliefs that built their limitations, and then they wonder why nothing changes. You cannot escape a prison if you keep decorating the walls. You must rewrite the code. Reprogramming the mind begins with awareness. You have to catch the thought before it becomes your truth. When your mind says, "I'm not ready," you interrupt it with, "I am becoming ready." When it says, "I've failed too many times," you answer, "Every attempt trained me for this moment." When it says, "It's too late," you respond, "Time bends for those who move with purpose." You see, the subconscious doesn't understand logic. It understands repetition. Whatever it hears most, it becomes loyal to. That's why your thoughts matter. Every word you repeat, whether empowering or limiting, is a command. So you must become intentional about what you feed your mind every morning before the world gets to you. You speak your new reality, not softly, not as a wish, but as a decree. You say, "I am no longer controlled by fear. I am disciplined, focused, and relentless. I attract growth because I've earned it. I outgrow my past daily." You don't wait to feel it. You train your body to believe it. Because belief is not a moment of inspiration. It's a product of repetition. This is why the greatest men you admire never just thought differently. They trained their thoughts. They fed their subconscious faith until doubt starved to death. They understood that a mind left unattended becomes a battlefield, and the enemy always wins the unattended war. So now, it's your turn. Start rewiring yourself with precision. Replace every self-doubt with a self-command. Feed your brain information that elevates you. Guard your attention like it's gold, because it is. When you control your input, you control your identity. And when you control your identity, you control your destiny. It won't happen overnight. You'll still hear the echoes of the old voice for a while, that voice that wants to pull you back into mediocrity. Don't fight it with anger. Starve it with silence. Give it no reaction, no energy, no belief. Then keep moving. Keep speaking your truth until it becomes your default, Because one day, you'll wake up and realize something powerful. You no longer have to force positive thinking. It has become who you are. That's the moment when your subconscious stops resisting your new identity. That's when you finally become dangerous to limitation. Because when the mind is aligned with your mission, no external force can hold you back. So, reprogram yourself daily with purpose, with clarity, with fire. Because the world you live in will always mirror the world within you. Discipline, it's the dividing line between who you are and who you could be. The old you waits for motivation. The new you moves with discipline. And that difference determines everything. You see, most people think growth is a feeling. They wait to feel inspired, to feel ready, to feel confident. But the truth is, feelings are unreliable. They follow whatever is easiest. If you let feelings lead, you'll stay trapped in the same cycle of half-finished goals and lost momentum. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is loyalty to your purpose when your emotions rebel. It's the voice that says, I move anyway. Every man who ever built something lasting had to master this weapon. Carnegie, Edison. Ford, they weren't superhuman. They were disciplined. They acted when others hesitated. They worked when others waited. They kept going long after motivation had died. Discipline is not punishment. It's freedom. Because when you no longer depend on how you feel, you become unstoppable. You control your days instead of being controlled by them. Think about it. Every great change begins the same way, not with a burst of inspiration, but with a single act of discipline repeated until it becomes nature. You don't become strong because you lift heavy once. You become strong because you lift, even when you're tired. You don't become wise because you read one book. You become wise because you study daily, even when no one's watching. You don't become successful because you feel confident. You become confident because you act successful before you feel it. That's the secret. Discipline trains belief. Action creates faith. Your old self was built on impulse. Eat when you're bored. Quit when it's hard. Scroll when it's quiet. But your new self must be built on structure. Wake when you said you would. Do what you said you would. Stay when others flee. Repeat this long enough, and the universe begins to trust your consistency. That's when things start to shift. Doors open for the discipline that never appear, for the distracted. Opportunities are drawn to structure, not chaos, because discipline signals readiness. And here's the truth. Most will never admit success doesn't go to the smartest or the luckiest. It goes to the most consistent, the man who keeps his word to himself every single day, even when nobody's watching. That man becomes powerful beyond measure. Discipline is a spiritual practice. It's how you build integrity in the unseen. It's how you earn respect from your future self. And yes, it will feel lonely. Because discipline requires separation from distraction, from mediocrity, from the crowd that worships comfort. But that isolation is sacred. It's the workshop of your evolution. In the silence of effort, you will meet the version of yourself that no one else believes in yet. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop chasing motivation. Build rituals. Build structure. Build consistency so strong that failure can't find its way in. When the alarm rings, rise. When doubt appears, act. When fatigue whispers, push one more time. Because discipline doesn't just change your schedule, it changes your character And when your character hardens around consistency, you become immune to the chaos that destroys ordinary men. Discipline is not a phase. It's the forge that burns away your weakness and shapes your destiny. And if you hold that line long enough, one day, you look back and realize you didn't just outwork the old you outlived him. Growth will never feel gentle. It doesn't arrive with comfort or ease. It arrives with friction, with the sound of your old limits breaking and your new identity being forged in fire. You see, becoming your next level self is not a peaceful process. It's violent in the most sacred way, because evolution is destruction disguised as progress. The old you doesn't dissolve quietly. He screams. He clings to old patterns, old stories, and old escapes. He begs for comfort while your spirit demands change. And in that tension between what was and what must be, the pain begins. Most people mistake this pain as a sign they're doing something wrong. But you will understand this pain is proof that you're alive again. Because the part of you that's dying is the part that kept you small. When the alarm clock rings and your mind screams, "Stay in bed," that's the sound of resistance dying. When you step into uncertainty and fear whispers, "Turn back," that's your old identity losing power. When you feel discomfort stretching your limits, that's not suffering, that's transformation in progress. Pain is not punishment. Pain is a teacher. It teaches you what you've been avoiding. It exposes the weakness you've tolerated. It refines the edges of your strength until what remains is pure conviction. You cannot evolve without this friction. You cannot grow while staying numb. The man who seeks a painless path seeks a powerless life. Understand, this greatness is not built in comfort. It's built in the moments when you move anyway, when your muscles shake, when your mind resists, when your soul questions your limits. That's where character is born. And yes, it will hurt. Change always does. But that pain, that stretch, that exhaustion, it is the cost of expansion. The pain you feel today will one day become the pride you carry tomorrow. Look at nature. A seed must break to become a tree. A caterpillar must dissolve to become a butterfly. And you must burn through your excuses to become who you were destined to be. You cannot heal and hide at the same time. You cannot evolve and escape discomfort. You cannot reach for greatness while protecting your weakness. So stop asking, when will it get easier? It's not supposed to get easier. It's supposed to make you stronger, because ease never built empires. Pain did. Discomfort built discipline. Pressure built power. Every time you push through pain, you prove to yourself that you are more than you thought. Every time you refuse to retreat, you raise your threshold for greatness. And every time you face what hurts, you discover what heals. One day, you'll look back and realize the moments that hurt the most were the ones that made you unstoppable. They stripped away everything fake, leaving only what was real, what was strong, what was ready. So the next time you feel pain, don't shrink, lean in, because that pain is the sound of progress. That ache is the echo of evolution. And that discomfort, that's destiny knocking. Growth demands pain, but the pain is temporary. The power it creates that lasts forever. Every transformation begins with a single moment, a decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a someday, a decision so powerful it cuts through excuses, kills hesitation, and sets fire to the bridges behind you. You see, life doesn't change when you want more. It changes when you decide you will no longer live without it. A decision is not made in your head. It's made in your spirit. It's a declaration to the universe that says, I'm done negotiating with my potential, and once you make it, everything changes. Because true decision carries energy, it commands your mind, aligns your habits, and bends reality around your will. Most people never reach that point. They live in the gray zone, halfway committed, halfway convinced. They talk about change, plan for change, with a dream of change, but they never decide. Why? Because real decisions are expensive. They cost you comfort, they cost you excuses, and sometimes they cost you people who prefer your old self. That's why indecision feels safer. But it's a silent killer. It drains energy, weakens faith, and leaves you trapped in endless preparation with no progress. You don't need more time. You don't need more clarity. You need a decision strong enough to make time and clarity irrelevant. When Napoleon Hill said, the starting point of all achievement is desire, so he wasn't talking about weak wanting. He meant desire forged into decision. Because desire without decision is fantasy. Decision without action is delusion. But decision followed by consistent action, that's destiny. Every great man in history reached a point where he said, enough waiting, enough doubting, enough postponing his purpose. And in that instant, his entire life bent toward his will. You have that same power right now. When you decide, really decide, you create momentum instantly. You stop asking, can I, and start declaring, I will. That single shift in language transforms your posture, your energy, your focus, because the mind obeys what the soul commands. Decision is the foundation of discipline. Without it, every action is optional. But once you decide, hesitation, dies, there is no if. There is only until. Decisions also attract. They signal to the universe that you're serious. They draw people, resources, and opportunities that match your new identity. Because decision is frequency, and the world always mirrors what you broadcast. So, ask yourself, what have you been delaying that your future self is begging you to decide? What dream have you been flirting with instead of committing to? What fear have you been feeding by refusing to choose? You already know what to do. You've always known. You've just been waiting for the right time. The perfect plan, the sign, here it is. Your discomfort is the sign. The longer you wait, the weaker your decision becomes. And the weaker your decision, the louder your excuses will sound. So draw the line. Make the vow. Say it out loud if you must. I am done living as a shadow of who I could be. I decide here and now that I will rise no matter what it costs. Because when you decide, the universe rearranges itself in your favor. Obstacles shift. Opportunities appear. And the man you've been waiting to become finally steps forward. This is your turning point. Not tomorrow. Not next year. No. Because indecision is decay. But decision is rebirth. So decide, and then make every breath that follows prove it. There comes a point in your evolution when you must make a sacred choice to stop leaving the back door open. Because as long as you keep an escape route, Your old self will always find a way back in. Burning the bridges isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about declaring, I'm not returning to who I was, no matter how hard this gets. Most people fail not because they can't win, but because they secretly plan to retreat. They chase their future while keeping their past on standby, a soft place to land if things get uncomfortable. But hear this clearly. Comfort is the enemy of evolution. And as long as you keep it close, you will never become who you're meant to be. There's an old saying, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. Because when retreat is no longer an option, you find strength you never knew you had. When you have no plan B, plan A finally gets the respect it deserves. Burning the bridges means cutting emotional ties to the weaker version of you, the one who hesitated, who procrastinated, who begged for permission to rise. That man had his time. Now his time is over. This doesn't mean you destroy everything you've built. It means you destroy every mindset, every excuse, and every fallback that gave your old life oxygen. Delete the distractions. End the conversations that pull you backward. Cut off the habits that make you question your power. Because if you keep feeding your past, you starve your potential. Yes, it will hurt. Letting go always does. You'll miss the familiarity. You'll crave the old rhythms that once made you feel safe. But safety is a cage, and you weren't built to live behind bars. When you burn the bridges, you stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop treating your dreams like experiments and start treating them like obligations. There is no trying after the bridges are gone. There is only doing. There is only becoming. That's when your energy changes. You move differently. You speak differently. You think in terms of must, not maybe. The universe responds to that kind of finality. It rewards commitment that leaves no escape, because that level of certainty sends a clear signal you are all in. And once you're all in, your power multiplies, your focus sharpens, your fears shrink. Why? Because you've eliminated the illusion of choice. You're not wondering whether you'll succeed, you're deciding how fast. This is what separates those who dream from those who dominate. Dreamers dabble, warriors decede. They burn the bridges not because they're reckless, but because they understand this universal law. You can't evolve while keeping your escape plan alive. So today, ask yourself, what bridges have you been afraid to burn? What habits, what people, what comforts still tether you to the old you? Be honest. Because the moment you cut them loose, you'll feel the surge, that electric clarity that comes from knowing there's no turning back. The old you will whisper, don't do this. What if we fail? But the new you will answer, what if we finally live? That's the power of burning the bridges. It transforms your mission from optional to inevitable. And when the world sees that kind of conviction, when it feels your certainty, it moves aside. Because nothing stands in the way of a man who has removed the way out. Your environment is either your greatest weapon or your silent enemy. It shapes your habits, your focus, and your future more than your willpower ever could. If you want to evolve, you must become intentional about what surrounds you, because nothing grows in toxic soil. You can't build a powerful mind in a weak environment. You can't stay disciplined in chaos. You can't create excellence while drowning in distraction. Every man becomes a reflection of the space he lives, in the sounds he hears, the people he spends time with, the conversations he allows, the energy he tolerates. So if you want to change your life, don't start by changing your goals. Start by changing your environment. That means auditing everything around you. Who drains you, who sharpens you, what habits keep you stagnant, what routines make you stronger. Your surroundings are not neutral. They are either pulling you forward or holding you back. The greats knew this. Edison surrounded himself with thinkers who challenged his ideas. Carnegie built his empire by surrounding himself with visionaries who expanded his imagination. Even Napoleon Hill said it clearly. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not a quote, it's a law. So look closely. If you spend your days around the lazy, you will learn their rhythm. If you spend your time with doubters, you'll start defending your dreams instead of pursuing them. If your environment is filled with noise, your purpose will whisper until you can't hear it anymore. But if you build your surroundings with intention, if you choose people who speak faith when you doubt, if you choose spaces that demand focus instead of distraction, if you choose habits that reflect your highest self, then growth becomes effortless. You don't need constant motivation when your environment is designed to pull you upward, because the space you live in either reinforces your new identity or resurrects your old one. Start small. Clean your workspace. Clutter is a silent anchor. Design your morning structure is freedom. Limit noise. Protect your mental energy like it's currency. And most importantly, curate your circle, because energy is contagious. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone can handle your growth. Some people are addicted to the version of you that made them comfortable. When you evolve, they'll call it arrogance. Let them. You're not obligated to stay small for anyone's approval. Growth will always cost you relationships that can't grow with you. But remember, that's not betrayal. It's evolution. You're not rejecting them. You're respecting your destiny. The environment you build today becomes the stage for your future. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every space you enter is either building your mind or breaking it. So choose wisely and understand this: when your environment is aligned with your purpose, you no longer have to push yourself so hard. Discipline becomes easier. Focus becomes natural. Success becomes predictable. You don't rise by accident. You rise by design. And design begins the moment you stop living as a tenant in your environment and start acting as its architect. So build your space like a fortress for greatness. Fill it with faith, focus, and fire. Make it impossible for your old self to survive there. Because when your surroundings match your vision, your future has no choice but to follow. There is no finish line. No moment where you can say, I've made it. Because the man who stops growing starts dying, not in body, but in spirit. Evolution isn't a phase. It's a vow. It's the daily promise you make to yourself: I will never stop climbing. The old world teaches you to chase a rival, the title, the number, the validation. But true mastery isn't about a rival. It's about ascension. It's about becoming the kind of person who never settles, who wakes up every day with a new edge to sharpen, a new weakness to destroy, a new horizon to conquer. Understand this: success is not a mountain you conquer once. It's a mountain that grows as you climb. Every level you reach reveals another peak higher, steeper, more demanding. But that's not something to fear. That's something to celebrate. Because the climb is what keeps you alive. The greatest men never stopped ascending. Carnegie didn't stop after his first fortune. Edison didn't stop after his first invention. Napoleon Hill didn't stop after Think and Grow Rich. They understood that comfort is death to creation, that satisfaction is the silent assassin of potential. Every time you start to feel content, you must remind yourself this isn't the summit, it's a checkpoint. You rest to recover, not to retire. You celebrate progress, not completion, because your purpose isn't to arrive, it's to evolve endlessly. The endless ascent demands humility. You must accept that there will always be another version of you waiting to be unlocked. You will never be finished, and that's the beauty of it. Every struggle, every victory, every fall is simply another layer of your becoming. So don't fear the plateau. Use it. When life feels stable, shake it. When the path feels predictable, change it. When the voice of complacency whispers, "You've done enough," answer, "Not for who I'm becoming." Because the next level version of you isn't impressed by your past, he's watching, waiting, urging you to move. He knows there's more to give, more wisdom to gain, more people to impact, more greatness to express. This is the rhythm of mastery. You rise, you break, you rebuild again and again, each time stronger, clearer, and more dangerous to mediocrity. And yes, the climb will get harder, but you'll get harder too. Your threshold for pain, your capacity for focus, your ability to endure, they'll all expand until what once broke you now builds you. That's the secret no one tells you. The goal isn't to reach the top. The goal is to become someone who can't live without the climb, because the man who keeps ascending becomes unstoppable. He doesn't fear setbacks, he feeds on them. He doesn't chase motivation, he manufactures it. He doesn't need applause, he becomes his own proof. And one day, long after others have quit, you'll still be climbing, not because you have to, but because you can, because the ascent has become your nature, because evolution has become your peace. That's when you'll understand you were never meant to arrive. You were meant to ascend forever. So keep rising, keep refining, keep outgrowing every version of who you were, because the man who commits to the endless ascent never loses. He only transforms, and that is what it means to live. Listen to me closely, because this is the moment it all connects. Everything you faced, every sacrifice, every time you fought your own reflection, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were never meant to stay the same. You were never designed to blend in. You were built to evolve again and again until the man standing in the mirror is unrecognizable from the one who started. The world doesn't need more men who dream. It needs men who decide, men who build, men who outgrow everything that once held them back. So from this moment forward, make a vow that the version of you who hesitates, who doubts, who waits for permission, dies here. And the one who acts with purpose, who leads with discipline, who burns for greatness without apology, he rises, because your future won't wait. Your destiny won't negotiate. And the old you, he's already fading. Now it's your turn to choose comfort or change, excuses or evolution, mediocrity or mastery. The war is not outside of you, it's within you. And the man who wins that war doesn't just change his life, he changes everything. So rise. Rise one more time. Rise with fire in your heart and certainty in your soul. and never ever look back. If this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Hill Mindset Legacy for more transformational lessons inspired by Napoleon Hill's timeless principles. Every week, we bring you the mindset training, mental discipline, and inner fire you need to build your legacy brick by brick, decision by decision. Leave a comment below. What part of your old self are you ready to bury today? Your next level starts with that answer.